Yo, what is up everyone? So we're back here playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and as I said, really like this game, I love it. But we're going to talk about a bit of this, and also now I've seen everything the 9070 XC has to offer, uh, we are going to talk about that as well. So I've had a look on Twitter, and the good thing is people are actually able to buy this graphics card released by AMD. So it's not a pay for launch, it's not a fake sort of launch. So that is really good, and then you're looking at the price, really good. I think there are a few question marks for me. There's a few things that sort of confuse me when I'm looking at the benchmarks and all that, but overall, every time I come back to the price, I think about it, and I just think, for what you're paying, it's literally such a good, it's literally a GPU, it's a gamer's GPU, it's a good bang for your buck, and you won't get a better GPU for the price in that. If you're purely looking at the price, it's literally what it says it is. I saw one for £569 on Overclockers, and I was surprised at that. And yeah, I could have bought it if I wanted one. So the stock is there, definitely. But what I thought I'd do is make a video about whether you should buy one depending on what graphics card you currently have. And I think if you've got a 7900 XT or even a XTX, I can see why people would want to buy one. And it's because of the upscaler FSR4, which will be exclusive at this time, only to RDNA 4, which is the 9000 series graphics cards that have just been released by AMD. So if you really like, say, that image quality like DLSS, and surprisingly FSR4 is actually trading blows with DLSS3 CNN. Now, to me, that is pretty amazing. You know, I knew it'd be good FSR4, but didn't expect that. It's good FSR4, but it's literally doing better things than DLSS3. So I'm really impressed with that. So I can see pros for the 9070 XD, even if you've got an XTX. And the negative is I did look at some benchmarks, and the XTX was still winning in raster by a fair bit. And even with some ray tracing games, so that surprised me a bit. It will depend. I mean, the XTX isn't bad in ray tracing, but it depends on how heavy it is. In Black Ops 6, I saw the 9070 XT beat the XTX, and then another one it was a tie. So that was a bit confusing. But then I saw Fortnite, the 9070 XT wins in Fortnite over an XTX. So a lot of ray tracing, I suppose. Actually, gonna be the ray tracing. You're paying, if you want to buy one, you're paying because it's a ray tracing. This is the best ever ray tracing graphics card AMD have ever released. So it wins on that. It's still not as good as NVIDIA's ray tracing, but again, when you go back to the price of the NVIDIA GPUs, you really can't knock it. You know what I mean? And now you're getting a really good upscaler, which is just as good as DLSS3, if not better, because there's quite a few. Even Digital Foundry said in some cases it can be better. It's not going to beat DLSS4, but even in that it can be better in motion, and I'm not totally sure on it. But watch it yourself, check out Digital Foundry and you'll be impressed. I mean, and I always come back to the price. I think even though benchmarks show it to be a bit indifferent with certain FPS ranges against the XTX, it generally, I think it's better than a 7900 XT for raster a lot of the time. But some games it looks a bit low. But then I think as the overall package, and that could be early drivers not being mature, to be fair, so AMD could be fixing that, where in certain games the performance looks a bit low. Because you're even seeing that with the 5070 Ti where it looks a bit low. Although the 5070 Ti is better, I think, overall in the performance. And will be obviously better in path tracing. But speaking of path tracing, I think AMD, they're still quite a way off with it, although it can do it better than the XTX. I mean, I did expect it to do better with the ray tracing in Indiana Jones, and that looks really bad, to be fair. I think it was only like 7 or 10 FPS or something. So if you want to play that with ray tracing, I'd recommend Nvidia for that. I don't think Black Myth Wukong was great either, but I think possibly you could maybe use FSR performance with that. Cyberpunk actually surprisingly looked good with RT Overdrive, which is path tracing, but well better than the others. I think at 1440p, I think it was like FSR 3 balanced, 53 FPS. I think AMD they're making their own software up, like ray reconstruction. I think they're doing their own version of that, so maybe it improves over time. And that's going to be the interesting thing to see for me, you know, because let's face it, software will probably mature for it, and it's all new, so, and they're usually pretty good at AMD with improving drivers for their graphics cards. So yeah, I think it's an exciting card just to see how it progresses from afar. I'll be watching videos of people of the channels I watch. If you've got an XTX like me, and you don't care about ray tracing, you don't care about the new upscaler, then just keep the XTX. I mean, because you know, I don't think it's going to be. There's still a good case for the XTX and the 7900 XT. I think what it comes down to is are you bothered about shimmering and all that with FSR 3 upscaling, and are you that bothered about ray tracing, because that's when the 9070 XT will pull ahead, or maybe, you know. But as I said, the XTX still does alright in ray tracing. It just literally depends on how many forms of ray tracing is in the game. Like, is it going to have reflection, shadows, global illumination on top? And that's where the FPS will tank a lot on the XTX, and then especially path tracing, where it literally can't run path tracing. Whereas the 9070 XT can do a little bit of path tracing. To what extent, I'm not totally sure, but likely it's gonna be a case of like Nvidia exclusives that are coming out, it will struggle still. So it just depends. I think you're buying it mostly for better ray tracing and the FSR 4. And you could say, well, I don't need to use ray tracing, but the fact is that a lot of these newer games are having ray tracing baked into the game. So I can understand why people are thinking the 9070 XT will be more prepared for these newer games. But again, as I said, it does depend how heavy that baked in ray tracing is. But it just feels like all these games are more like Nvidia. They're targeting the strengths of the Nvidia GPUs more than the AMD. That's what it feels like. So AMD have literally got to do the same thing. Same with the upscaling, they've got to compete on that level. So that's literally how it is, really. But the XTX isn't obsolete. The 7900 XT isn't obsolete. It's just you're going to have to make some compromises for it. And that's literally it. Even the 9070 XT, you've got to make compromises with probably some path tracing games. Well, 100% for path tracing. It's going to be still going to need aggressive upscaling to run it in some games like Cyberpunk, and some like Nvidia games like Indiana, probably that Black State game coming up, probably won't be able to. There's going to be sacrifices, whatever AMD GPU you have, and that's just literally how it is at the moment until they massively catch up with Nvidia. But as I say, once you get to the price, I always go back to how much the 9070 XT is costing when I've been thinking about it these past few days. And yeah, you can't knock it, you really can't. For what you're getting, I think it's reasonable enough. I mean, if it was like over £1,000, yeah, I wouldn't buy it. Not that I'm buying it anyway, because with what I've got now, I'm just sitting on the 4090 personally. But yeah, it's definitely a good GPU for that right person. For the majority of gamers looking at mid-range to higher end, it's pretty good. I've got to admit. So, I mean, if I did buy one, it would literally just be for me to check out FSR4. I think that's literally the only reason, because it doesn't do anything better than what I've got. So it would just be out of pure interest, and it would still have to be at the price it is now. Like, say, a £569, I could, but I'm in no rush for it. And I also, there's quite a few concerns I'd have about it. Even though it's such a good price, there are a few question marks for me. You know, I might be being picky, but there's just certain games where I think FSR4 might not come to it. I mean, the obvious ones are Cyberpunk, Alan Wake 2, certain other Nvidia exclusives. I mean, Nvidia just control the market so much, and I'm sure they're paying devs off to not have, say, FSR4 in the game or something like that. Something's going on. You know, I'm not stupid. And it just makes me wonder if it's ever going to come to Cyberpunk and other games like that. It's so often, like, even in GTA 5, it's just FSR 3.0, which is not 3.1. And it just feels like certain titles, there's a bias towards Nvidia. So, would I really want to pay maybe just over 600 for a GPU where, just for an upscaler, this is just for me by the way, would I want to pay for an upscaler when it's probably not going to be in the games I want it to be in? But to be fair, it will be in Sony PlayStation games, so if you like PlayStation games, which I do, I suppose that could be a reason for it. To, even if it don't come to Cyberpunk, I'm pretty much done with Cyberpunk anyway. It's just these newer games like Black State coming out, which I want to play. It wouldn't surprise me if that only has FSR 3.0, and it's just because you can't upgrade from 3.0. It's got to be 3.1 in the actual DLSS swapper, which is going to be used for now AMD as well, not just Nvidia. So, but it does make me wonder. But like I said, if you like PlayStation games, you'll get FSR4 in them. I'm pretty sure about that, because AMD and Sony, they're pretty much in bed together, and even FSR3 looks pretty good with PlayStation games. And I've said before, I can live without Nvidia tech. I mean, it's just that for this generation, if I'm going to buy AMD again, it's got to be a significant upgrade in render, you know, ray tracing, performance, overall performance. It's got to be the whole package for me to just literally want to buy another GPU. If not, I don't see the point. Then when I think about how many games are going to have FSR4, it turns me off more. I think the AMD person on Twitter who would know about it, he said that there's going to be Frank Azor, his name is. I think he said, but by the end of 2025, there's going to be 75 games with FSR4 in, which ain't bad. But as I said, I've got concerns about what games it's going to be in. So that would be my main concern about it. But going back to the GPU, the price, I can totally understand why people would buy it, and it's probably worth the risk of just, you know, getting it. I mean, for me, I think I'm just more excited about how it progresses. I'm excited to watch channels show it off, see what it can do. I would like to check out FSR4 for myself, I'm not going to lie, but I just can't convince myself at the moment to buy one. So that's where I'm at with it. I mean, I don't even think if you've got a 4080 you should buy one, to be honest. Unless you just want to check out FSR4. And it literally comes back to that. I mean, maybe if you're a big Black Ops player, Black Ops 6, because that it does do better than Black Ops, as AMD GPUs usually do. Maybe there's going to be games where it shows over time that he's worth it more over 40, 80. So it's hard to be 100% on it, but yeah, it depends. Anyway, that's enough to talk about the 9070 XT. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is Assassin's Creed Shadows, potential reviews on it. I also will be talking about reviewers, you know, such as School Up, and well, he's the only one I'm going to talk about because it just winds me up that why is he reviewing Assassin's Creed games when you don't like them? You tell me, because it just seems pointless. If he's just going to hate on every game that comes out by Ubisoft, then I literally don't see the point in watching any of his videos. And literally I've just gone and bought it anyway because I know I'm going to like Assassin's Creed Shadows and I don't care what anyone says about it. So that's my thinking. And I especially don't care for his opinion on it because I know he's just going to say, I do not recommend this or whatever bollocks he usually comes out with. And another reason is because Yakuza games, he generally says they're not that great. And I don't understand that. I mean, he says the combat is a bit messy or something. I think, what? Sounds more like a skill issue, mate, if you think that's messy. But there are some games, like Felguard, I agree, that weren't great for me. I thought the RPG was totally crap, sent me to sleep almost. So safe, and I like the combat. It was enough for me to keep playing it, Felguard, but I really didn't care for the story in the end, I'll be honest. And we have got some slides coming up, but it's literally Valhalla, Odyssey, Mirage. I don't think, is there any game that he's ever liked from Ubisoft? I'm not sure. I even think the one I didn't like, and most people didn't like, that Skull and Bones, I think he was actually saying it ain't that bad, and I thought, is he trying to wind people up with that? I don't know. But yeah, I know people don't have to agree with me. But it just feels like, as a reviewer, you know, if I literally listened to him about every Assassin's Creed game, I probably wouldn't play any of them. And it's just his weird takes on it. And he's not someone I go out of my way to watch. I don't really watch his videos. I haven't done for years because I just figured him out. I don't know what he is, but there's other reviewers out there that I trust more than him, that's for sure. I mean, generally, if I know I'm gonna like a game anyway, like with Assassin's Creed Shadows, I will just buy it anyway and take a chance. But yeah, I just thought, you know, I just know he's gonna slag the game off. I mean, he has done a video that popped up, and it was 1 month ago, and it said apparently he wasn't enjoying AC Shadows or whatever, and I thought, yeah, colour me surprised about that. What a massive shot that is. I mean, with one of the screenshots I saved, you'll see it, and he said, with Valhalla, this game I'm playing here, apparently he said he wasted his life playing it or something like that, and I thought, nah, you're taking the piss with that. I mean, yeah, I can accept it. If it's not your cup of tea, fair enough, but it just seems like misinformation driven by him, some sort of agenda against Ubisoft, when it's actually a good game. It did get an 83 score, I think, on OpenCritic, so anything over 80 is usually pretty good anyway, so I just thought his criticism for it was very over the top, and it's a good job I did buy it and just ignored him once again, as I always do, and I've enjoyed it, and I'm still enjoying it. It's a long game, as I said, Valhalla, but you know, I know some people said I did get a comment about a drop off in quality. I think I have to say I disagree with it. I do think the quality is pretty good in every game I've played. Maybe there's, you know, I can understand criticism where they're saying it's moving too far away from, say, the original Assassin's Creed games. Like it's about Vikings, pirates, stuff like that. I mean, I know a lot of people love Black Flag, but I wasn't too keen on Black Flag myself. It just wasn't totally for me because it was about pirates. I wasn't too keen on the pirate saga, but I do really like Viking movies and all that. So this is right up my street. It's not that I hated Black Flag, it's just I didn't care for it as much as the other games. So yeah, I don't think they've made a bad game at all. Ubisoft with their Assassin's Creed games, really. I've enjoyed them all. They're all good in their own way. That's all. That's literally how I feel about it. And in their defence, I think if they just made it solely about assassins every time they release one, I do think it would get a bit boring for me because it's just the same old thing. Like, I mean, Assassin's Creed Odyssey didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game as such, but I still really enjoyed it. And so yeah, I don't mind a change up. And I think when you're having to make these games literally every generation, you know, for over a decade, I think they've done alright. I really do. I do think they get a lot of unwarranted criticism. So, you know, I mean, this game here, I'm absolutely loving it now. As I said, there will be times where you think there are some missions that are a bit, you know, probably a bit boring, but overall what you're getting out of the game, I think there's enough to like it. Literally enough to like about this game. And we'll have some slides coming up in just a couple of seconds. Here we are. Look at this. What a load of bullshit that is about Valhalla. And this was actually good. A lot of people liked Odyssey. Bigger isn't always better. My God. I wasn't having much fun with Shadows. So don't be surprised when he gives that like 3 out of 10 or something pathetic. I mean, I'm almost sure he's got some sort of agenda against Ubisoft. I don't know what's happened. Maybe they didn't give him a free code or something. I don't know. But for me, the quality of the games, they're good enough to... I mean, fair enough you don't like them, but they're not against... You know, they're not immune to criticism, but I just feel he goes over the top with his reviews about them. And it feels like he hates them. But, you know, I just thought I'd make a video about it to... Just having to talk about upload, because I've been thinking about it with the release coming up for the next Assassin's Creed game, and I'm looking forward to it. So he can say what he wants. I'm sure other people feel like me, that because I've seen people talk about it saying, why does he bother doing reviews for Assassin's Creed when he don't like them? It just seems a bit pointless. It literally does. Anyway, I think, yeah, I've pretty much said what I want to say. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.